Coro Coro Pokemon news about a raid battle in the anime? What is this? A crossover episode? Wait, we're getting Coro Coro Pokemon news again? That's weird. But what's maybe weirder is I think everyone's forgotten that this is prime Coro Coro leak season. It just doesn't feel that way because we're not dealing with a main series Pokemon game. We have the second half of a DLC, and it seems like we know most of what's going on with the Crown Tundra, so no big surprise reveals there. Also, Coro Coro unfortunately hasn't been relevant since like 2016. However, this is still interesting. So first, we need to take a trip down memory lane, because the anime relating to information about new Pokemon game stuff is classic. It's also peak Verlisify. I don't know how I beat this. You know, using everything that was going on with like merchandise leaks and anime teases, and just kind of bringing the history of everything we knew about Pokemon at that time together to go, hey, there's gonna be a new Pokemon form. Hey, this new Pokemon form breaks all the conventions of existing Pokemon games, things are about to get wild, and then it coming true. But this also kind of goes back because people might say like, oh, but Coro Coro was kind of relevant in 2017 with Lycanroc. Except it really wasn't. Like, the most we got out of it was a crappy little off-colored picture buried in the cover of Coro Coro, but we didn't get like the full reveal. This was the Pokemon Company's big reveal, and then there was a follow-up with Coro Coro, but it just wasn't the same with 2016, where we had like Mimikyu and tons of other new Pokemon being leaked exclusively or released early exclusively by Coro Coro. There was still a lot with like trailers and official information, but yeah, it just hasn't been the same since, which is why this bad boy is surprising. Now, to get a better idea as to what's going on here, we can head on over to Bulbapedia because they're really good about keeping up with the upcoming episodes, and the name is pretty telling. So we have episode 40 in Pokemon Journeys, and this one is titled Verse Thunder, a Legendary Raid Battle. So it's actually in the title. It's not some kind of like clickbait overview. Yeah, see, it's kind of like a raid battle. You know how those are in the Pokemon games. Look how cool it's going to be. No, it's officially going to be a raid battle, which is pretty significant because Pokemon Journeys, they kind of do their own thing. It's not explicitly a Pokemon Sword, actually it's very far, if anything, from a Pokemon Sword and Shield anime, because we do have some Dynamax, we do have like Champion Leon, and there is like an overall theme there, but then there's just a lot of times where they do other things. They were just in the Alola region, and Ash did have a battle with Bee before, but it wasn't for some kind of like Galar Gym Challenge, so as you can see, the plot points of Pokemon Sword and Shield are kind of loose. It almost feels like what would be a filler episode in the other Pokemon anime series kind of just becomes a really cool adventure that ties other things together and provides quite a bit of fan service. I'm down with that. We can also skip ahead and see something very telling. We don't have an image between the next episode and the one that Coro Coro is showing. So this is a very significant episode, and it's also kind of bringing the Pokemon Sword and Shield storyline closer together. So we have this battle with Bee, spoiler, Ash loses, but then he's having his rematch, and then there's a legendary raid battle with Zapdos. That's kind of crazy. Also, from what we've seen with the new Pokemon Journeys opening, there's actually like a spoiler or teaser for the Eternatus battle that's coming up. So there's going to be some massive Pokemon Sword and Shield plot lines, and the question is this kind of the start of it? You know, now things need to get serious for the Pokemon anime. They're going into raid battles, they're going into Eternatus story. That's crazy, but it's all starting around October. And I fully believe there is a chance for the Crown Tundra to be released in October with all the information that we have. Going back to 2013, Pokemon X and Y, announced in January, released in October. That schedule did line up pretty well. Same thing happened with the DLC. It was announced in January, before Pokemon Day, like well, long before Pokemon Day, almost 2 months before, and then that does kind of open up. You know, we did have a timely release of the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. October does make sense, especially because through data mining of the DLC, we know that a lot of the Crown Tundra is already finished. So it's not like they need to do an insane amount, an impossible amount of work. It's realistically finished by now, and then we have the October release kind of making a lot of sense. So would a raid battle in the anime kind of line up with all that stuff? And yes, I know it's in Japan and they're really far ahead of us, but that didn't stop the Lycanroc reveals, now did it? Because we had the global reveal of Dusk Lycanroc, but the biggest thing is that it lined up with what was happening in the anime, and then it was backed up by exclusive merchandise and existing merchandise leaks for Generation 7. That was some pretty wild stuff indeed. So I'm like, yeah, that means this October thing could maybe kick up. Like, what happens if when this episode airs, there's going to be a follow-up for some new Pokemon news? Now, there is something interesting that the anime is making a time switch. From this episode onward, the anime moves from Sunday 6 p.m. time slot to Friday 6:55 p.m. That kind of makes things weird, and it might mean like, okay, this episode comes out, and then there's going to be like a Pokemon Crown Tundra trailer a few days after it, or maybe it does it the other way around. That we actually get a Crown Tundra trailer in the first week of October, which would line up with all the other Pokemon Sword and Shield trailers that we had up until this point, and then that goes into the anime, and now there's a lot of promotion for the new DLC. That seems to make a lot of sense to me. And the reason this ties in really well is because the legendary raid battles, those are going to be in the Crown Tundra, and we still don't have full information on the Dynamax adventures. I'm waiting to go to the Pokemon Sword and Shield website, go to news, and then it's going to say learn more about Dynamax adventures. That could be a whole trailer. They don't have to give away information about Galarian Slowking. Even though they can, kind of like what we saw with the other trailers. We're just let off with sleeping Galarian Slowbro. They might not have to do a big tease, they just update it here, and yeah, that's actually more than enough. We learn about the legendary raids, which are going to be like the key feature of Pokemon's Crown Tundra DLC, and then we get a little bit of extra Pokemon information. They can save the story. They can save all the other secrets. There's also like an Ultra Beast reveal. I'm really shocked that we haven't had like a trailer every month since July or August, because there's definitely enough information in the Crown Tundra Tease, but they're being really silent on it. It's being really, like, held back, and I don't like that. But what I do like is the possibility of all of this tying together and then finally giving us the information that we want. But then that's the trailer right before the release, which means release date. So you give us an early October trailer, and then you give us a late October release. That's a possibility. Or maybe it could be November, but at least some information in October is possible because it would have an overlap with the anime, which is something that's happened in the past. Now, there is one other thing probably worth mentioning for this video. That is, there are legendary raids in Pokemon Go, and there's actually a special legendary raid boss rotation going on in Pokemon Go that includes the legendary birds. Also, talking about legendary birds, we got these shenanigans going on. Regional variants versus raids, fun stuff. We still don't have enough information about that because we're not getting any trailers or news drops, and it's been over 3 months since we haven't had official Pokemon news, so that's a little upsetting. However, this is also doing its own weird stuff, because the Zapdos raid will be over by that time. Now, I don't know if they were trying to line it up and maybe the anime got delayed because of COVID, or maybe just like some kind of scheduling discrepancy made it to where that the episode wouldn't be airing at the same time as the Zapdos raid, which would also be really good cross-promotion. And it would technically still be the anime promoting with the games, not necessarily Pokemon Sword and Shield, so it does back a little bit about this Coro Coro being pretty significant. But yeah, like, that's happening. That might have something to do with it. That could maybe just all bleed together. We have legendary raids in Pokemon Go, legendary raids in the anime, and then legendary raids in the main series game, all tying together for some cool Pokemon news. So there we go, guys. Hopefully this actually turns out to be something pretty awesome, since Coro Coro leaks aren't really a thing anymore, and Pokemon news itself from official sources isn't really a thing anymore. It's nice to see that we might have, you know, a little bit of a glimmer of the glory days of when Pokemon news was fire. So guys, enjoy the video. Hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.